Connecting the SWAC, the MEAC, SIAC, and the CIAA. The HBCU experience lives here. It's the HBCU Report with Bob Calloway.
This is the HBCU Report, being heard via Spreaker.com. We are powered by SportsNewsandBrews.com, your official source for sports, black news, political news, and the latest on your favorite craft beers. I am Rob Calloway, and of course, as I just mentioned, this is the HBCU Report. Don't forget, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HBCU Report. And man, we have another jam-packed show for you and yours. It is the fastest 45 minutes in sports talk radio, and I like it like that. If I can quote my dude, Larry Tinsley. Man, welcome to Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of early. Big shouts out to all my folks in the Central Time Zone, my folks in Alabama checking out the show as well. Here's all my folks out 3 hours back on the West Coast. It's 5 o'clock on the West Coast, and I got my folks out there in Seattle checking out the show, so I definitely appreciate you guys as well. Man, what a week it's been since we last joined you. Shouts out to everyone that listened to last week's show, went back and downloaded last week's show. I think we averaged right around 100 listens for last week. So big shouts out to you guys. But man, I was trying to, figure out like, what am I going to do for today's show? Of course, I knew I wanted to talk football because that's what we do right here in the season of football. And we have two good ones coming up today, SIAC football championship as well as the CIAA football championship. And we'll talk about both of those coming up here in just a few minutes. But, the one thing that seems to be dominating the news cycle is the presidential election, because if, in case you've been under a rock, Tuesday we had a presidential election where Donald J. Trump won the Electoral College, and he is now the president-elect of these United States of America. A lot of folks upset about this, and, the God honest truth is rightfully so. I get it. I honestly get it. And if you listen to the show and you have any thoughts about this presidential election, go down to the bottom of the screen and click the little thought bubble, and I'll read your comment live as we do this show. But, I'm kind of disappointed. Not really sure what type of America we live in when a guy like Donald Trump can become the president. For all of the foolery and buffoonery that Donald Trump has been a part of in his life, I just don't get it. I mean, you're talking about a dude that has been on WWE. Well, not only WWE, but WWF. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. Well, he and Vince McMahon had a hair versus hair deal. And Vince McMahon ended up losing because, of course, we know that the Donald, that's a detached piece. We know that that's a convertible. We know that. But, a lot of folks are really upset. I mean, in the popular vote, I think the last count I heard last night before I went to bed was that Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote by 500,000, or the vote tally had gotten up to 500,000. But, a lot of folks don't understand. They feel like their voices haven't been heard. They've gone out, they voted, voted for their candidate of choice, which the majority says it was Hillary Clinton. And for the second time in 16 years, we've seen the Democratic Party robbed. Well, I'm not going to say robbed, but we've seen the Democratic Party lose their bid for the White House, not because they didn't win the popular vote, but because of the Electoral College. And, of course, this show is powered by SportsNewsandBrews.com. And if you go to SportsNewsandBrews.com right now, there's an article there that was drafted by yours truly. It's called Black Folks versus the Electoral College. And, it's a good read, but it's a brief read. I didn't go into way too much detail, but I gave you just enough so that you'll know the basis of the Electoral College. And the whole premise behind the Electoral College still stands today. Yes, it does. But the one thing that I want people to be aware of is that there's so many things that could happen between now and 4 years from now in regards to Donald Trump. You know, this dude is about to go on trial for this whole Trump University thing. No telling if one of these women are going to come out the woodworks and try to sue him. I mean, Donald Trump has a lot of baggage. His wife is on the internet naked. Have y'all seen it? No, she's just not naked. In the words of Bernie Mac, she's bucket naked. Terrible impersonation, but she's bucket naked. That's so unpresidential. You know, if Michelle Obama had been naked on the internet, if you had been able to Google naked pictures of Michelle Obama, Barack's black butt would never have been in the White House, not as president of these United States. It's just it's just a different America that we live in. You know, when you find out that over 50% of Caucasian women voted for Donald Trump, despite the things that he said about women and the things that he's done to women, it's unbelievable. And it's almost laughable. But that is the world that we live in today. But on the flip side of that, you know, for those of you that listen to this show that are kids, for those of you that listen to this show that are college students, here's what this whole Donald Trump thing did. It should show you that you can truly be whatever it is that you want to be in these United States of America. Whatever it is that you want to be, you can be that. Because Donald Trump has absolutely no political experience, none. Now, I know that was the knock on Barack Obama 8 years ago, but this guy is not prepared for this moment. If you saw any of the debates, the presidential debates, it's clear that Hillary Clinton was the one that was more knowledgeable. And I'm never going to tell anybody who to vote for, but it was clear that she was the one that was more knowledgeable and ready and more ready for the job on day one. This dude right here, not so much. He's going to have to surround himself with some people that really know what they're doing. And you know, I know everybody loves Rudy Giuliani for all the stuff that happened during 9/11, but I'm going to tell you this. That dude is vile. He's an evil individual. He's a despicable individual. He is Mr. Stop and Frisk, and we already heard Donald Trump say that he was going to try to reinstitute stop and frisk if he won the White House. And that is Giuliani's thing. You know, and if y'all don't remember how terrible this stop and frisk got in New York, just Google Amadou Diallo. Amadou Diallo murder by NYPD. Google any of that and see what comes up. And there were several cases that happened in New York just like that as a result of stop and frisk. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's a sad day. It's been a sad week. You know, black people are sad. The Hispanics are sad. The Muslims, like, people are sad. You know, then, I mean, it's an unbelievable world that we live in, folks. That's all I'm going to say. But the American dream still stands that you can be whatever it is that you want to be. Just look at Donald Trump. Look at him. And you know that you can be whatever it is that you want to be. That's going to be my message to the young people moving forward. Just look at this idiot. Look at him. You can truly be whatever it is that you want to be in this America. Without a doubt. Unbelievable. So unbelievable. You know, I've been breaking down this electoral college thing to people. I've been, you know, trying to get people to understand this whole week. And before we go any further, this is the HBCU report, being heard via Spreaker.com. We are powered by SportsNewsAndBrews.com. Just talking about the week. Just talking about the week. And we'll get to this HBCU football stuff coming up in just a second. But just talking about the week. You know, I could have gone on here on this on my network any given day this week, but I just wanted to wait until today. Because I mean, you know, I don't get it. Then you see these videos this week of these kids and at school, and here's the thing. You know, I try to always make this show clean. I have a potty mouth. But anytime that on-air light comes on, I try to always say the right things. Always. I try really hard. But to see these videos of these white kids at school going, hey, nigger, cotton picker, Trump won, Heil Hitler. What the hell is that? What is that? When you see these videos of these white kids in school beating on the table in the cafeteria, talking about build that wall, and then you see the Hispanic kids sitting in that same cafeteria shedding tears. What is that? What is that? See, that is the divisive approach that Donald Trump took in this presidential election. He came out as such a bigot, and I don't even know if he really is a bigot, but he was trying to talk to that audience. He was trying to talk to that Jim Bob and Backwood Billy. He was trying to talk to that group, and he succeeded with all of this hate speech. You know, and I'm sure that when he and President Obama sat down a couple of days ago, I'm sure that was one of the most uncomfortable conversations ever. Because you got to remember that Donald Trump was a whole part of this birther thing. We got to see the birth certificate. Show us the birth certificate. Because of Donald Trump, President Barack Obama became the first president of these United States that ever had to show his birth certificate to prove his legitimacy as a citizen of America. You know, you hear these terms, hashtag stay woke, but I'm going to tell y'all better stay woke. You know, and I hope I have a diverse audience when it comes to this. I mean, I'm sure that the majority of this are African Americans that listen to this program, and it's cool. And if I'm making you uncomfortable right now, just turn, click off, don't listen. You don't ever have to come back. Because, see, you cannot have hate speech and preach hate speech over and over again and don't think that it's going to sink into the minds of some of these idiots in the United States. That's black, white, Jew, Gentile, whoever. My God. And you can't take these things back. I know he sat down with Barack Obama and tried to take this stuff back. Like, you know, I'm sorry that I said some of these things. I'm sorry that I did some of these things. You know, but it's like, dude, you didn't even know President Barack Obama until the other day. That was your first day ever meeting the man that you said so many vile things about. Telling y'all, everybody better stay woke. Please stay woke. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not trying to alarm people or have folks running around arming themselves. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just telling you that this country is going crazy right now. Do you know? Look, a couple of weeks ago on this show, I talked about my high school, Southwest DeKalb High School, predominantly black. When I was there, we were all black. At one point, I don't think we had one white student at the school, maybe my 11th or 12th grade year, maybe one or two, but they were part of like the magnet program. But we had white teachers. But I tell you what, you let somebody step up into my high school and say, hey, nigger, cotton picker, Trump's president, Heil Hitler. Yeah, you let them say that they want to. That's all I'm going to say. I just got on my soapbox to stay here forever, man. All right, so coming up on the other side, we're going to kick off this preview. I didn't even get to talk about any of the football stuff I wanted to talk about in this segment. Coming up, we're going to preview the CIAA football championship between Winston-Salem State and Bowie State. 2 o'clock kickoff. National TV, Aspire TV is where you can catch it. And coming up on the other side, Coach Keanis Boulware joins the show from Winston-Salem State University. This is the HBCU Report, and I am Rob Calloway. We are being heard via Spreaker.com, and the show is powered by SportsNewsandBrews.com. Stay woke, ladies and gentlemen. Stay woke.